And so over these 17 years, it's weird because we got to break even pretty quickly, okay? But after, I want to say, about 7 or 8 years, it became insanely profitable, okay? And I thought, oh my God, this is really going to happen, okay? My dream come true, you know? And I would, just to give you an example, so we were getting awards, over 70 international marketing technology awards. We got the award from Capitals for the best creative of the year, all this going to my head, right? Being invited to go talk at marketing symposiums in Sydney, Australia, and all going into my head, right? I would get a call. It was not unusual for me to get a call. Hey, Brad, this is John over at Coke in Atlanta. Bobby told me that you had done that, promotion with him. We got a promotion coming up. We need a loyalty program. We're thinking we're going to have these many calls, these many interactions, whatever. Priced it on the spot because I was really good at that, right? And he said, sold. Send me the paperwork. Never met the guy. Right? It was a big number. At this point, I was just like, hey, I'm quoting big numbers because we're very busy, right? And closed the deal without ever seeing him. And sure enough, it was like $1 million deal again. Now, this business is an agency business. And this is a really key learning for me, okay? An agency business, no matter how successful you are at that business, is a hustle business. Right? You get a client,
projects,
you do the promotion, you do the project, you gear up for it, and then you got to go and get another client, right?
There's no reoccurring, or well, not just, it's not mostly reoccurring. It's one-shot deals.
So I learned what I consider to be like the holy grail of business principles, which is recurring, evergreen revenue, right? I also learned that it's better to have, a lot of customers who are paying you this much instead of 10 customers that are paying you a lot, because you're gearing up for them. And if you lose one, you're in deep trouble, right? Meanwhile, all this shit goes to my head. I just think I'm a badass, right? I didn't think, and I bought boats and then another boat 3 months later. Didn't even, I got to the point where it wasn't even asking the price. It was just obscenely profitable, okay? But it was all like I was fooling myself, right? Because I'll never forget, like, I don't even know what stimulated, but I had this like epiphany, man, that holy mackerel, my son, I haven't even been to one of his little, T-ball games. My wife told me, while I was in Australia, that, hey, Zach, just learned how to ride the two-wheeler. I missed birthdays. I was absent, okay? And all this starts to like gel and, and I realize, that I don't even really tell people what I do. How when, hey, what do you do? I'd say something because I wasn't really proud of what I did. Because what was I doing, man? Helping Nestle sell chocolate chip cookies and Coke sell sugar water and Guinness sell beer and Butterball turkeys. That's what I was doing with my life. And so I don't know if I got hippie-ish all of a sudden, but it all started caving in.
Were you realizing that when you got to that point that it's not
Yes.
what you thought it would be?
Yes. Yeah. And so what I was doing is there was a creeping feeling that something was off here, like if I achieved all these things, I'm making all this money, and so buying things and going on trips, distraction, back to when I was 12 years old or 17 years old, like very what you're really feeling, and distract yourself with a new car or a new boat or a trip to wherever, material things. But I'm missing my kids' key events. I'm an absent father. And who knows better what that feels like than someone that lost their father when they were 12 years old? You did?
How old were you when this was going on?
Okay, so let me figure this out because so I started that business in 81. It ran for 17 years. So where are we? We're about 98. Yeah, 98, right? So true to form, I said, fuck it, selling the business. I got to do something that I feel good about. You know, it's not that I don't care about the money, but that's where I learned that money does not buy you everything or happiness or, make you feel good. It's not about that. It's about, so I started reading books. Every time I get into, a quandary, I'll go out and read every book on the subject, right? And, I remember this one book, I couldn't tell you what the title was, but it rocked my world. And it basically said this: if you are getting a new job or you're starting a new business or, any big thing like that, don't think about the money. Think about lifestyle things. How are you going to dress? What kind of people are you going to work with? What kind of work are you going to do? Do you love that kind of work, right? How much or how little do you travel, right? Is family time important to you? And it was like, oh my God, I started this first business. Okay, it was as successful, but it was a hard road to haul for all the wrong reasons. I wanted money, I wanted boats, I wanted recognition, I wanted awards, right? So at this point in my life, so 98, 17 years in, maybe it was like 16 years in, around that time, I left the business up in New York, actually Hoboken, New Jersey, beautiful, like looking over the city, patios, espresso, all that crap. And I moved the family down to St. Petersburg, Florida, because I do love fishing and I do love the water, and changed my life completely around. And my life now was geared around the kids' schedule. Never missed a game. Moved down here, I never missed a game. My kids went to kind of a small school, so they played every sport, So, never missed a game. My life was centered, and I thank God for that, because if I'd waited too much longer, I would have gone, be miserable, terribly unhappy. And, anyway, I did that. And everyone told me, man, and this is another life lesson, don't listen to people. You got to go with what you're really feeling at the end. You can get advice, okay? But whether or not you apply that advice, ultimately that's your call. So everyone told me, you can't move down to Florida and leave the business up here. I had a really good GM, okay? I wasn't worried about that. But, I did all the pitching. You're not going to get clients to come. Your world is the tri-state area and the Fortune 500 and this and that. Thank you. Appreciate that. But when I moved to Florida, I had to start I started two hobby businesses. One was fishing and boating, direct mail order, catalog kind of business. So I love fishing and boating. It's like, what do your parents say, or what's the best, do something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. It sounds so trite and cliche, but it's true. But I could tell you that, but you have to reach that conclusion yourself. That's not advice any young man is going to take, I can tell you that, or young woman for that matter. It's just, you want other things. Meanwhile, I did that. And I will tell you that I got more clients to come down to Florida for the pitch in a group, okay, from these Fortune 500 than I could get them to come across town.
That's great.
Okay? And, so kept the business humming, had these hobby businesses. The other one, in 91, I had started a hobby business. Terrible with dates, but long story short, the other one was called Notes on Call. and it was the seed of what I do today. Okay. So, but it was a hobby business, you know, and I just, for my sanity, and I feel like I remembered my kind of epiphanies when I was a player reading these magazines. Now I had some chops with interactive technology, albeit just telephone, still no internet, 91. So I go and I pitch every guitar and bass magazine on this idea. And I say, I'm going to, here's the interactive technology. I'm going to, for every one of your lessons, I'm going to do an interactive audio version of it. There's a code, there's an 800 number, people will call it. It was the easiest sell on the planet. It was just a great idea. I remember them saying to me, it's a great idea. I hope you have some really good guitar players in your stable, because you probably are not going to get the artists and educators to do it. Wrong. Every single one of them wanted to do that. And, so I was able to kind of like, what we did then is kind of what we're doing today. It's just a little more sophisticated today.
Right.
So learned interactive chops, establishes relationships with musicians who I love to work with. Did
you keep the business? Did you keep the business in New York?
I sold the business in 98, end of 98, beginning of 99. And, it was a bad experience. The people that bought it were not honorable and not very, but I didn't know, but it was a very bad, experience for me. But I was able to use that money, which was not a lot of money, but it was a lot of money, right, to invest in TrueFire today. So the business that was hobby business at 91 or whenever that was Notes on Call. Now I changed the name to TrueFire, set up a little kind of garage thing with some developers, started to figure out how to stream audio. Then, video started happening. I sell this business that was helping Fortune 500 companies sell their wares because it didn't feel good for me, right? And I read these books, and it's like, okay, craft your next life around the things you have passion for, which for me was music education. Those are the people I like working side by side with. Love the team of people here. Truly, they get all the credit. I just was lucky enough to be able to get these people to believe in this crazy thing, right? And I love working with artists, and I love being able to say that and for me, it's like there are two big things that we're doing here. Clearly enriching people's lives, by giving them the gift of being able to play music, whether it's 2 chords, 3 chords, or you're, a advanced pro. That for me is a legacy that I will leave behind that makes me very proud, right? The other thing that's happening is technology killed the music business for artists because people no longer bought records, right? And there used to be this thing called mailbox money. I don't know if you've ever heard the term.
No, I don't know that.
What artists refer to, they get their royalties or any publishing that they have. They have a record. Mailbox money is, you do something and it keeps coming in. It's sort of annuity stuff. And so part of our mission was, how do we help artists navigate the new music business landscape, right? Which
that's powerful.
Because now you'll notice, man, in the old days when I was growing up, and even when you were growing up, you made your money off of records and you paid to go on tour, right? Now, musicians, really most of them, very few have publishing, or very few are at the pinnacle. But the 99.9% of musicians have to go out there and gig and get on the road. And do I know what that felt like? you know, and nobody loves it. They love when they're on stage, but they hate everything else. And so it's like, hey, can we reimagine or reinvent mailbox money? And sure enough, you know, they come into the studio, we film a project with them, like you would record a record, and we have partnerships. We don't do work for hire. So we pay you a fee up front, you know, and then you get a percentage on the back end of everything that we sell. And you get a larger percentage for everything that you sell, right? And our deal is called an MOU. We don't even call it a contract or agreement, you know. And we're not published. We don't own your IP. You own your IP. We own our IP. You have final approval over every aspect. There's no exclusivity. You want to terminate our relationship? Call us up, terminate it, we'll stop, and we'll even stop selling your product if you want us to do that. You know this thing, so if you love somebody, set them free. That was the whole philosophy.
Yeah.
The whole philosophy from the beginning was to turn, you know, the music business. There's that famous Howard Thompson, I forget. There's a famous quote about how negative the music business is and how artists, you know, have been screwed over from forever, right? So we wanted to turn everything upside down. You would never find any of the things that I just described as, you know, our deal points in any label business or management. You just won't find it. Today, we have 300 artists that we collaborate with. 3 million students around the world. Not all of them paying. We give away a lot of stuff. You know, if you can afford it, you'll pay it. If you can't afford it, disadvantaged children, third world countries, man, oppressed countries, vets, you know, whatever. We don't care. We don't even count how many millions of dollars we've given away. It's just good, right? And it's cosmic and it's karma. And, you know, every time we've gotten into trouble in this business, and by the way, there's no $1 million deals here. And I'll never make in a year what I was making, you know, in the other business. And let me tell you, there's this transition point where, you know, you're taking millions of dollars, you're supporting your family, you're putting your kids through college, you're putting food on the table, you're reinventing yourself. I was 48 when I did all this, 48 years old, right? I honestly, you know, there was, I'd say there was a shadow of doubt whether I could completely reinvent this and start a new business from scratch. And I would watch the dollars dwindle in the bank account, and I would have to stop spending things, and, you know, and it was scary for a very short while until I realized I'm friggin' happy, man. You know, I love what I'm doing. And I will tell you, man, it took more than 3 years for us to get anywhere near the black. A couple of us here, you know, I brought in a couple of people from the other business who I somehow convinced to do this, worked without a salary for 5 years, literally. And then,
come on.
No, I swear to you, okay? You know, the deal was, look, if I need to pay you a salary, I will, okay? If you're willing to work at half what you're worth, I'll give you a little slice. And if you're willing to work for nothing and can afford to do that, I'll give you a bigger slice. And a couple of folks took that deal. Crazy. Because this was like, you know, what the hell? Video was like.
They believed in you.
Well, they believed in the mission. And
the idea. And
they wanted, and they had the same passions. We were very much aligned. But I will never forget the day that two of us, you know, who weren't taking the salary, started paying ourselves minimum wage. It was like, whoa, man. You know, and it just felt so good. And I'm telling you, it's like, it's intoxicating. You know, it's like, You do something that you love with people that you love, and you have the lifestyle that you love, and you feel good about your family relationship, and you feel gratified and that you're doing something important, right? And there's nothing more intoxicating than that. No amount of
Somebody
money.
might say, how do you define purpose, or how would you express what purpose is? And I think you just explained it in a way, like how one finds their purpose and what it feels like once you found it.
That's right. And I've read articles, or from a variety of people that talk about purpose, right? And that one of the primal needs we all have, humans have, is a need to have a purpose. And you're lost without that. But it's not easy to figure out what your purpose is. Some people are lucky enough to know what their purpose is from the get-go. And some people, wait till they're 48 years old to figure it all out,
When
So
you and I
that's
have
my
a
story,
conversations,
and I'm sticking to it.
when you and I have another conversation, I'll tell you, at 48, I'm going to be 50 in a few months, but at 48, I went through a thing for like a year, and it was very similar, very similar. And it's eerie. At exactly 48, I had something go on. We'll talk. I'll tell you about it.
This is very cosmic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Now you really have to come down, go to Boca, visit your family or whatever, and
I'm here. I'm in Boca. That's where I live.
Oh, you live in Boca?
I live in Delray. I'm on the border of Delray and Boca.
Okay, so you have no excuse.
No, I'm here. I don't know how far. What is it? 3-4 hours?
3-4 hours, man.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. I used to be in Naples. Well, we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
So I'm glad that you brought that to that point, because that's what you're doing now, and the way you just brought that all like to a closure is awesome. And it's not really a closure, because you've got this phenomenal thing going on, and you're impacting, as you said, millions of people. And I did not know that you give away that much, which makes it even just so much more powerful, and that's so much more impactful.
Yeah, but it's like the things that I'm really proud about is certainly giving away to people in need. I'm just certainly proud of that. I'm proud that students express their love for the way we do what we do, which is very distinctive. And we have a really good reputation. But I'm really particularly proud that we have reinvented mailbox money for artists, and the revenue share checks that we send some cats boggle your mind. Okay, and this never became more apparent than during the pandemic, because now the vast majority of the 300 people we work with couldn't go out and gig, which is the only source of income.
Right.
So if I had a nickel for every artist that called up and said, "Man, thank you," the checks that I would get from you were like really significant. How I pay my rent, how I put food on the table for my kids. If I had a nickel every time I got that call, you and we'd hop over to Tahiti and have this conversation. Okay?
Can I share something with you? Today is what, Tuesday? This past weekend, I was in Charlotte. I went to see Garth Brooks. I'm not a country fan, but I'm a Garth Brooks fan.
Oh yeah.
Just absolutely just love what he puts out there. But he said something, and I've seen him before, and he always comes across as a very gracious, humble, like appreciative guy. But he took a moment to point out that for a while they obviously couldn't tour, and that how he felt about the people in his band that have been with him for a long time that weren't making money.
Right.
And he went as far as saying, who knows, a year or two from now, like if we're going to be here, we're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep doing it, but we don't know now. We just were reminded that we don't know. And then he went on to say how appreciative he was that we were all there. But it was an interesting reminder, like, oh my God, yeah, he's making money, but the guys in the band aren't.
No, and that's 99.9%. And so, you know, there's,
I mean, during COVID, like he's making money. He's got, but
oh,
the guys in the band, they're not playing, they're not making
no,
money.
no, that's what I'm saying. And so if they had collaborated with us, like many of those sidemen had, they, they were getting checks.
Yeah, yeah.
Some big, some small.
So powerful.
It was meaningful, right?
It's
and
really
so,
meaningful.
you bring up a really good point. There's a charity that we really believe in that Joe Bonamassa, who's, we work with, and his partner manager, Roy Weissman, who I think
That's how I met you, by the way. That's how we came together.
No, through Carol. Roy
Right.
Weissman is a disruptor. He has reinvented how to work with artists. The guy's brilliant. You should get him on this thing.
Who, Roy?
Yeah, he's just brilliant, and
He won't do it.
He should do it.
I'll talk
You should
to
get
Carol
us
after
both on, and I'll get him. I'll talk for him and prompt him. But what he did is astounding. And Carol, I think Carol, who's his sister, is a very successful agency. She manages and makes that Keeping the Blues Alive charity work.
Yeah.
And their mission is so much aligned with ours, which is why we're so honored to be participating and partnering with it. Their mission is to bring education to kids that can't get it otherwise, and to support artists in their time of need. Whether it's the pandemic, whether you're an emerging artist, it's a tough business. That's a noble mission, and they're very successful at it. That gets me excited. That's something really good, right?
You go on that blues cruise?
I did.
You did. Did you go on the last one?
Been on it?
No, I only met Carol like a year and a half ago, and that's just past one. It was just a few months ago. I couldn't make it, but I'm going to go on the one next year. Yeah,
well, that one of my heroes and one of the people that I feel that I've learned from is Roy and Carol's father, who is Elliot Weissman, who was Frank Sinatra's manager. And, I haven't spent a lot of time with him. Of course, I read the book, but the few times that I sat in his office and in very subtle, killer ways, I learned a lot from that guy. I learned a lot. And Carol is also very, very bright, very accomplished. And I love working with her too, That's what it's all about. Love what you do, love who you do it with, and boom, there's the brass ring.
That's it. Oh, wow. That's it. We got to stop right there. That's so well said.
Cool.
There are a few ways to reach you. So for anybody out there that wants to find out more or work with Brad, you can reach him on Instagram. We're going to put all this information down below in the description, but there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's a YouTube channel. And so we're going to put all of that down below for everybody. Is there anything besides that you want to mention?
Yeah, what I would say is, we're all, we have all those social media things, but the website is TrueFire, TRUE, fire, one word, .com. And if you go there, there's a, you'll get anything you want to know about what we do. It's there. But better than that, you can join for free, and we'll give you 2 weeks of all access to all 55,000 videos, and
amazing.
Check it out. Right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, I'm amazed, right? I'm just amazed.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. We talked for about an hour and 20 minutes, and it felt like 5 minutes, man, listening to you tell these stories.
That's because I ramble on. I'm old, I'm senile, I'm like the grandfather that tells the same jokes over and over again, but everything's in it, right?
I'm gonna tell this real quick. I only know one joke. I can't remember jokes. I'm not that guy.
I
I'm fun
can't
to be
either.
with, but the jokes that come in. My kids, there's one joke that I know, and it's from Eddie Murphy Delirious when it came out in like the 80s. Remember, he's
Yeah.
wearing the red leather suit. There's a
Yeah.
bear and a rabbit in the woods. The bear turns to the rabbit and says to the rabbit, "Do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit says no. So the bear wipes his ass with the rabbit. That's the joke I know.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
And on that note,
I need to do that. I've never been able to tell jokes. I love jokes. And I keep telling myself, Brad, just learn one joke that you can tell when people are telling jokes. But I usually wind up spoiling that last line, I just screw it up. But you know what? This has been a pleasure. I'm honored that you would even want to learn more about, what we do and, where I come from. And also the connections and the shared experiences made this really kind of special for me,
really,
like very special for me. And I really think, what you're doing, I think is really important. And I mentioned this to you before. Coming up through business, I read a lot of Inc. magazine and other magazines, and they seem to only celebrate widely successful companies. That's what, and that's the wrong messaging. Maybe it's the right messaging to sell magazines, right? And to convince people that success is measured by how big, how many employees, all that other stuff. But they don't celebrate the 99% of the entrepreneur, that have small
business.
All
of us. This is where business is. It's all small business.
That's right, because that and what you're doing, I think, inspires people to, hey, I can do this too. Maybe I'm not going to be, get on the top of the Inc. 500 or whatever, but I can do this too. And I think there's never been a better time for people to just start their own thing, do something that they love, and take control of their destiny.
100%.
Do not leave your destiny in the hands of corporate America.
100%.
That's toxic,
That's it. That's why I do the show. It's to inspire. It's to motivate. And if this conversation helped somebody think about something differently, or just even have a thought they didn't have, and that causes them to go onto a path where they now begin to go towards their potential, to reach their potential, and that's why I do it. That's
and doesn't that make you feel good? Isn't that a legacy you're proud of? Right.
I'll tell you a secret. When there is that part of it, when I have thought about it and I have talked about it with people, where these videos, as long as YouTube decides to leave them out there, my kids can always go, well, I have a girl who turned 14 2 days ago, and I have an 11-year-old. These videos are going to be out there, and they'll probably outlive me. And to the point of my father dying at 12, I have old movies with no sound, from back in the day, the reel to reels. But my kids are going to have a library of content, and they can hear me being me. And so there's that side of it too.
That's right. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts that some of your viewers and listeners are going to shout out to you and say, hey man, you sparked a change in my perspective and in my life, and thank you for doing that. And so that we're both doing the same thing.
100%. It happens occasionally, and it feels good. I actually the first time ever, this is way off topic, and then this is my last, for the first time, and I don't do it for this reason, but it was bizarre. I had a call. A friend of mine set me up with another guy just to network a little bit for business, and the guy's in Poland, and he speaks English. He's from Belgium, and we're talking, and he's like, I know you from somewhere. I don't know what it is. A couple hours later, he sends me an email, because we're gonna have a follow-up next week, talk more about business. He said, I know you from. He goes, you were on a show. There's a guy whose show that I've been on. His name is Omar Elatar, and he's got a huge show. He's known all around the world. So I've been on his show a few times, and the guy recognized me because in my office at home, I have a very abstract painting by an artist actually from Miami. And so it's very memorable. It's got all these pop culture figures in it. It's one of those paintings. Right. He's like, he emails me. He's like, I knew you. He goes, you were on Omar's show. I subscribed to Omar's channel. I saw your interview. And I'm like, I was recognized by a guy in Poland.
Oh man, I love that. I'll tell you a little short story. You cut it out, but um, I the first glimpse I had at what we were doing was early on. We were doing some, streaming, guitar TV, bass TV, keyboard TV, and we get an email. This is, we're still in the red, seriously, an email that to this day continues to inspire me. And it was from a young Chinese guitar player who said, kind of broken English in his writing, but basically said, dear TrueFire TV or something, said, thank you. Nearest guitar teacher, so many kilometers away, and closed it out. I couldn't even find the village he was from. I found province on the map. I couldn't find the village that he was from. He was out in the country, or wherever he was, he had an internet connection. And he closes it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You make me rock. Okay.
Oh.
So, today, most people would say, well, yeah, of course. But back in the day, when you realize that you've reached somebody in some small village and helped them learn how to play music, that was big for me. That was a big moment,
I mean, and we both know what music does for you. As a kid, for me, music was an escape from the trauma and the difficulties I was going through, which is why I got so into it. And people now that I know, like a song could come on the radio with, and I can hear one note and I almost can call the song in a lot of different genres.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And it's like, I spent my entire childhood listening to music over and over and over. It was an escape.
It's a beautiful
and the
thing.
feeling that I got from that escape was very powerful, and it did a lot for me going through very difficult times. So then to learn to be able to play music and to create the sound that, for myself, creates a feeling. When I pick up the guitar and play for myself the few songs that I know, I feel completely detached from anything that was going on.
That's right.
And my mood is completely shifted in just in a matter of a minute or two. And then all of a sudden an hour goes by, and my wife's like, where are you? I'm in my office with door shut with my little guitar app with the floating up the screen, playing like Hotel California for 20 times. And you disappear from reality.
No, of course, and, I likewise counted on music as a therapeutic, thing, but you get lost in it. It makes you feel good. I mean, the Greeks had it right. We've got it wrong here in this country. What's the first thing to go in public schools? Music,
arts.
So, it's important. It's a lifeblood. It's,
100%. You are now officially the first person I've ever had who's going to have a part 1 and a part 2. I was thinking about it a minute ago because I can't even cut any of this out. It's too good.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. And you have to do me a favor. So,
sure.
Carol, really, I don't know what you were, but she said so many good things about you. And I really don't do many podcasts, to be honest with you. But she asked me to do that, and I did it. I am really glad I did it. And she knows, she knows I can be forgetful. She knows it's crazy here. I've got, Carol, should I comb my hair? What should, how should I tell me what to do?
I was going to wear a hat for this one.
So please do me a favor and tell her that I was on time. My hair was combed and I was wearing an actual shirt. Okay.
I will. I think we're talking to her today, aren't we? Or tomorrow. I think she's still in New York. I will tell her. I speak with her a lot. I mean, she and I became really close. We're doing a lot of different things together.
She's just awesome, man. I can't say enough things about her. That's for sure.
I want to thank you for doing this. It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
My pleasure. I mean, it really turned out to be my pleasure, you know, which I wasn't expecting it to be, but it totally was.
It's awesome. That's
On
very
every
cool.
level.
It's very cool. So we mentioned about 10 minutes ago that we're going to put some information down below. So I am, when this gets edited and put out, all your contact information is going to be down below. The website for sure. We're going to have a nice write-up, and anybody that sees this is going to have no problem reaching you. And I encourage anybody that whether you watch this, what are we in the middle of 2022 right now, whether it's now or it's next year or whenever you stumble on this video, you need to go check this out, TrueFire.com. It's what he's doing is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. That's it.
Thank you, man. I really love to get in with you. Okay.
Yes. All right, my friend. Listen, we are going to do 2 parts. I'm going to split this up, so you're going to get two Tuesdays in a row.
Okay, great.
And this is going to be awesome. And thanks again. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you so much, and thanks to Jamie behind the scenes. You know, the director and videographer and the master of angles.
She just said you are her favorite interview out of 65 we've done.
Oh God.
She did. She just said he's my favorite.
You guys
I don't think we're supposed to say that. It's like saying you have a favorite kid.
Right. I know you better cut that out because you don't want to. But thank you, man.
It's a pleasure having you, man. We'll talk again real soon.
I look forward to it.
Be good.